Meeting's called to order. First thing on the agenda is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First, we can get an approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
There's a motion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Now, presentations. Paul, is Paul here?
Yep.
Oh, there you go, Paul. Elevate Benson.
Hey, I'll be brief unless you all have any questions. Tyler had just passed out a packet of recent events that we've done. Our Elevate Benson board, which is basically comprised of a number of the downtown business owners, normally meet on a monthly basis. The meetings are open to the public, and they are at 6 p.m. on a rotating schedule between 3 of the downtown businesses currently on the 4th Tuesday evening. What Tyler had passed out, the smallest little index cards were an idea that come out of this group to actually put, most all of the different businesses have them, and they literally just drop them in the bags. Some businesses are a little better than others about letting them know what they are, but the idea is to drop them in their bags, and then we just, as different events fall off, and we put different events that are downtown Benson events on there. These are cards for folks that are already shopping here to know about other updated upcoming events. The next thing that was on there is an actual card that literally listed a bunch of upcoming events. That was actually mailed out to 2,400 residences. We have the ability, actually anybody has the ability through United States Postal Service to target locations based on a number of different criteria. And you can't select out individual patrons, but you can actually go and send things to a particular list via location or the average income or the age that you're trying to attract, or if they have children in the homes. So depending on those criteria, we've been sending out stuff about upcoming events. The other card that was in there was one that we partnered with BFA on, and this has got BFA's events on one side. The downtown business is just supporting on the other side. Basically, BFA paid half the cost, we paid half the cost, and then Boundless Printing, which is located on Market Street, had actually kicked in some of the printing cost on it, and that card was sent out to some other postal routes that the actual BFA had selected to send those out to. And that thinner piece of paper that was in there, the reason it's so thin is it's actually a playbill insert. That was one that we did that could literally just go inside of the playbills for current show that's going on right now, which is the 12 Angry Jurors. However, we can update this. We only printed the run for just this particular show, so we can update it with the events that are at current for the next show that's coming up. Last time, or not the last time that I addressed y'all, but about a year ago this time I had addressed y'all because I had gone to the North Carolina Main Street Conference. Basically, the town had 2 representatives, and they allowed for me to use the second representative spot that time. Now I'm coming back a year later, and this past year, I want to tell you I appreciate you actually sending 2 representatives that are folks from the town. So this past time, Tyler went and Kim went, but then I also went myself, and then one of the other business owners from downtown went. There's also some other representation from Dunn tends to send some other people. But I just wanted to tell you, I appreciate y'all's financial support and support, period. That's a very, very important organization. They help with a lot of stuff related to just downtowns in general that are members of their organization. And they also, there's a lot of grant opportunity there. I did give you copies of their 24 annual report. So you're more than welcome to just look over that at a later time, but I just wanted you to see what all North Carolina Main Street does. Want to tell y'all I appreciate, or not just myself, but basically all of the businesses from downtown Main Street. Appreciate y'all, the board as a whole, being so supportive of sending our town to the North Carolina Main Street Conference. And there's a tremendous amount of information that can be gleaned from that. Last, just two additional things. Tomorrow morning, there's a meeting in Dunn because they have a very large baseball tournament that they're not able to house all of the people for July the 25th through the 29th. So they're actually utilizing both of our hotels here, both of the new hotels here. There may be some overflow in the third hotel, but they're utilizing that for housing people for the baseball team. So there's two merchants meetings tomorrow, one earlier in the day from 9 to 10 and one tomorrow evening from 6 to 7. So some of us will be attending that from downtown. They're actually Dunn's trying to get support from the neighboring communities just because of the tournament's so large they can't necessarily handle it, not only from the sleeping aspect but also from just the generalized aspect of handling it food-wise and entertainment and activity-wise. And then the last thing that we've got, there are other events that you can see on the cards, but the only other recent thing is just remembering there's a wine walk this coming Friday in downtown Benson. And we haven't, this is an independent person that came to the town that actually set that up, but we as the Elevate Benson group have been doing a lot to work with this person to be able to have different locations available for them to actually do the wine in. It's Tina Bailey, and she's put a lot of work into this. So if you happen to be around, definitely stop downtown Friday evening. She's put a lot of work into it, but I think we're also going to be able to, it'll be a successful event too. So that's it, unless y'all have anything. Farm Heritage Day is also this coming weekend too. It's on the event schedule. And it not only does it involve the events out at Chamber Park, but they've also got parades that they're doing, the tractor parades that they're doing in downtown. And then after that, obviously, it rolls right into there's concerts for the Singing Grove. One thing that the Chamber did do, one of our Elevate Benson meetings, we discussed the possibility of pushing back the concert times a little bit. The hopes were twofold. One was to be able to give people that were driving back home from out of town the opportunity to not rush to get home to be able to make it to the concerts. But then secondly was to sort of marketing it a little bit differently, and to come on to town, drop your chairs off, get your spot, and then walk downtown, eat downtown, shop downtown. And then from the business side of things, trying to get a number of the retail businesses to stay open until 7 o'clock. Concert time starts at 7. And so that's those are it again, unless there's any questions that y'all have.
Any questions?
Thanks for what you're doing, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda, Austin Cross, Smithfield to Benson, East Coast Greenway feasibility study.
Good evening. I'm Austin Cross. I work for Johnston County Parks and Open Space, and I'll be presenting the Smithfield to Benson East Coast Greenway feasibility study. If you turn to the first page, you'll notice the working group members, which in particular from the town of Benson, we had Kim, and then we also had Matt with the Parks Department. The second page on that is just a breakdown of what's in the full plan. And if you would like to view that plan, we have digital versions, and also the town manager's office and the parks office has a copy of that. If you'll flip over to the next page, we'll go into the executive summary. I won't read all this to you because it's pretty long, but I will give you a gist of what this whole plan is. The East Coast Greenway is a national and a state trail that runs through Johnston County. It basically runs from Clayton to Smithfield and then Smithfield to Benson. So 3 years ago, we did the Clayton to Smithfield feasibility study. And this past year, which we finished up in November, we did Smithfield to Benson. And with this plan, we wanted to look at what routes would work the best from a safety component, from a feasibility component, as far as economic value, but also just cost. And with that, we've come out with this great plan that basically incorporates a mix of greenways, which are off-the-road components, and on-the-road components, such as side paths, which are basically just extra wide sidewalks in a sense. And the good thing about them being 76% side paths, when DOT comes through and say they're going to redo a road, they're going to redo a bridge, they have a great program called Complete Streets. And when they do that, you can put forward this project, and if it's adopted in their plan, DOT will essentially build it for free. And the only hopes that comes out of that is that the town would maintain it after building it. So as you'll see whenever I go through this, building greenways is not a cheap business, but when it brings in economic value to your downtown, bringing in a good quality of life for your residents, it does add up in that sense. So I'll go into the next page, which will be the particular phases for Benson. You'll see the preferred phase 4, which might actually be on the next page after that. I apologize. On that one, we start at 242, and it's that green alignment. It starts right at 40. The reason we started there is because when you come in on 301 into Benson, the road is very constrained, so I just want to put that forward to y'all that 242, because the bridge is expected to be renovated in the near future, it's opportune for the town and for this alignment to utilize that because they can put a side path along that bridge. As you'll see, it winds down Tar Heel. It actually winds down the right-of-way of I-40 until it meets Tar Heel Road. And beyond that, it crosses the railroad and goes on to Honeycutt Road, eventually going on to North Johnson Street and coming into downtown. So some benefits of this alignment, I would say, that it connects your Benson Middle School to your downtown. It connects neighborhoods within downtown, vice versa, to the middle school, to your parks facility with the Benson Park. Along with, it gives people that are taking this route a means of coming into the town, and rather than potentially avoiding downtown, they will be going through downtown. You'll also see the connector routes, which wind exactly through Church Street and actually end up connecting up to Benson Elementary School. If you go to the next page on that, the typical sections are just the styles of how these facilities could look. So greenways are typically a 12 to 10 foot wide path. They're typically off the roadway, so you have the safety component with that. The side paths are typically, like I said, they are a sidewalk with the intention of being a wider sidewalk so that you can allow mobility in both directions. And they usually have a buffer between them, so there's the safety component from the road as well. Boardwalk, those are just elevated, either side paths or either greenways. And then when I was talking about 242, the I-40 bridge crossing, that just gives you a kind of idea of what that would look like. And we've had this approved by DOT so that it doesn't change in the future, so you can kind of get an idea. The breakdown of costs, roughly for the green alignment, would be about 13 million. And again, with anything, this cost goes up over time. But as I said, with this preferred phase being roughly 75% on the roadway, you can utilize the complete streets in NCDOT to take on the cost of actually constructing these. And then the segment AE is the one that goes straight through downtown on Church Street, and segment C9 is the one that connects up to the elementary school. If you go to the next page, you'll see the second route that goes through town. It's the pink alignment. And this one actually correlates well with the town's existing bike ped, or the CTP study that was adopted, I think it was about 2-3 years ago now. So this one winds out of town because the East Coast Greenway starts and ends through Harnett County. We worked with Harnett County to ensure that this alignment would work well with them. And the only reason it doesn't continue along 301 is because there's a constrained bridge right there along with the stream that you have to cross over. So there's always the potential that it could happen in the future. And that's why if you look at the full plan, we have all the alternate alignments that we came up with. So just because we're showing these preferred alignments doesn't mean that something couldn't come up and it could be a better fit for the town as well. And that one is 80% side path, which is 80% on the roadside and 20% greenway. If you turn the next page, you'll see the same typical sections we spoke about before. And then the estimated cost is roughly 13 million as well, 13.5 million. And I'll just give a kind of overview from the county's perspective. You know, we conducted this feasibility study, but we want to be an asset to the town. So when these projects come forward, we would, you know, like to work with the town in completing them, especially when it comes to making connections to other alignments, other county facilities, you know, park facilities, things like that, because that just promotes better quality of life for town residents and county residents as a whole. And with that, like I said, you can review the whole plan. Kim has that, and Matt has a plan of that. But with that, I would like to ask any questions that y'all have. I'm more than happy to answer anything.
Questions?
So the county's leading up this study, leading the study, so.
Yes.
So have you already presented what their map is, what their project is gonna look like? I saw Raleigh Road going by South Johnson and stuff like that.
Yes.
Has it already been presented to the county?
Yeah, so the county, the town of Smithfield, and the town of Forks have all adopted the plan already.
They've already.
So you're the last piece of the puzzle, we'll say.
Okay.
Where does the funding come from exactly?
I'm sorry?
Where does the funding come from?
There's a lot of funding opportunities. One in particular that we're utilizing right now is an NCDOT grant project. We're doing a segment in Wilson Mills right now. It's a Greenway segment. And it was actually a fairly easy grant application, and we came out with $4 million. So, I mean, that's a huge significant funding source. And DOT has large funding pots that can be utilized by the town. They are, most of the time when they're that large, they're federal dollars, so you do have to anticipate there's going to be extra costs for permitting, things like that. But when it comes out to with that carbon reduction program, which is the grant we got, it was 80% paid for, and we only had to come up with 20% of the cost. And there's a huge amount of resources in the full plan that can outline current grant programs. But as I said, for the county, I'm a grant coordinator, so I work with grants all the time, and I always try to share them out with the towns if there's anything new that comes up that can be utilized for anyone.
So when you say they've adopted the plan, does that mean they're currently looking for funding for this?
Yeah, well, usually, so that's my job, so yes, I will look for funding when it comes to projects that present themselves, they can be not easily handled, but they're manageable at this point in time.
So
And
you
this
have-
will,
Go ahead.
this will tie into Smithfield to Wake County that's already completed?
Correct. So this alignment, if you were to go to Hillsborough, North Carolina, you could ride the alignment all the way to Clayton right now. So the anticipation is that we would continue that down to Smithfield and continue it down to Benson. I know in particular, people in Clayton, there's people that ride from Raleigh every day, every weekend to Clayton, and then they go to downtown. So, I mean, there is the economic driver in that regards, where people, you have All Out Bikes in Four Oaks. It's a bike shop. That was the reason he came to this area, and he was actually part of our steering committee. You could have people that could be riding from Smithfield all the way to Benson, coming into your downtown, providing local dollars, driving back, driving from neighborhoods, coming into downtown. One plan that we're working on in particular right now is a comprehensive trails study, which would take these alignments and other existing alignments and basically spider web throughout the county. And that could be another point where, we're presenting this with Kim and the town to provide input to see what other means you would like to come, where greenways and trails could come into town.
Well, I have done the Clayton to Wake County,
Mm-hmm.
but the land that y'all developed, I mean, it's very nice, but the land that y'all developed along the Neuse River was land that could be developed. Isn't it gonna be a lot harder to get from Smithfield to Benson through some of the areas you've got to go through?
Yes, the cost does not include acquisition, but we can include right-of-way acquisition, which a lot of those grant programs that come through NCDOT, they include acquisition costs in that. But that's why I said with the full plan, we have other alignments in there, so there could be other means of, using other stream beds. There's not a river that particularly goes to Benson, but you do have Hannah's Creek. You have other means that could be used in the same manner as the Neuse River Trail.
But does it tie in right now from Clayton to Smithfield?
No, not at the
Okay,
moment. So,
Smithfield's got a small,
mm-hmm.
okay.
And Clayton has their segment, and we're putting the segment into Wilson Mills with the town right now. And the anticipation was that is we start in the middle, and we can work our way either way, basically, on it. So the same could go for here. If we found a acquisition that we can make in Four Oaks, we could work backwards and work it to where you're working on both sides of the alignment. And we've spoken with Matt about potential projects that could happen in Benson, and actually one of the alignments, the first phase that I showed you, there was one alignment in there that would actually go through a lot of town-owned property. So there's always potential. It just has to be taken.
Well, now, the alignment from Harnett County to Benson, are you using Harnett County what they've already got done?
Yes.
Their path?
Yeah.
along
So
the railroad?
they did a bike ped study, which would be between the Harnett County line and Dunn, where the Dunn-Irwin Trail is, if that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we took into account what they've done already. So we've spoken with Carl, who's the director for Harnett County Parks and Rec, and we've spoken with Dunn as well to make sure that what we put forward aligns with what they already have.
Maybe it'll work out.
That's the hope.
So you're looking at this tonight, you have, all next week to look it over. I have the full copy here. Basically, at the next meeting, we have a resolution to approve, for them to move forward for looking for funding.
Okay, great. So,
And
anybody got anything else? Thank you so much.
thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, Austin. I got the clicker. You want me to do it, or you? No, I mean, you want me to click, or you want to click? Okay. But is it?
Okay, I'm going to give the financials for February. At the end of February, revenues were at 78% and expenditures were at 66% with a positive variance. Okay, the next slide breaks it down by each fund with total budget, revenues and expenses, and variance. And then the general fund consists of Fund 10, Fund 11, 12, 13, and 14. And the next one is a comparison from the current fiscal year and last fiscal year of 23, 24. Are we on?
You good?
Yeah. Okay, DMV property taxes, that shows what we collected with a comparison from last fiscal year. And we received the bulk of property taxes in November, December, and January. Other taxes collected, sales and use, we collect that monthly, and the other three are quarterly with the beer and wine yearly. And then the next, we have the water and sewer fund. And revenues for February were $571,146.51. Expenditures were $298,432.81 with a positive variance. And then we have the electric fund. For 3 months, for November, December, and January, there was a negative, we had a negative variance, but at the end of February, we have a positive variance, so it has turned around. And lastly, we have the project funds. We are receiving reimbursements for, from all 4 of these except for the L-shaped building, which is the community building, because those funds were given to us up front. So does anybody have any questions?
On the Hannah Creek Modeling Project, is that all we're gonna be reimbursed by the county, or are they gonna reimburse us the remainder of that?
No, they're gonna continue to reimburse us. It's about, it's about 450,000. There's never like a fully agreed upon, but they said they would pay for the Hannah Creek modeling. So
Right, okay.
we have a round number of about 450, so we're still good in that.
Okay, all right,
It's just slowed, the invoices have slowed down some.
all right.
You don't have any other questions?
Is any of this, affecting our cash flow at this time?
Actually, it's helping your cash flow
Okay.
because, your project, reimbursements are coming in a lot quicker. So like I did a reimbursement last week, I think, for the $22 million state appropriation, and we got it yesterday. So, which is a really fast turnaround for the state, so, but it's helping your cash flow.
It's nice to see some months in the black.
Yes, it was nice to see it all in the black this month. We are gonna be, telling departments, though, it is April, so we're getting close to the end, so we will be telling departments to halt spending this week.
Yeah, I just put that on my
Yeah, so, yeah.
Any other questions on financial? Great, okay, department reports, everybody's probably had a chance to look over them. Any questions on department reports?
Just a couple of things. On the code enforcement, I think I read that the first abatement is scheduled for April the 12th. What, can you give me an idea of exactly what that entails? Mark here? I don't
He
know.
is not here. He told me I could text him if he had any, questions. I can text him and.
I know where it is, just can you define what that means, that, what are we doing when we're gonna go and abate that?
Is it?
Hornet.
Street?
Mhm.
Oh, he'll go in and clean it up and then send a bill.
Okay, so that's
That's
what
what
that meant. That's what
Where
I.
is this at?
Harnett Street,
Where's Hornet?
Where at on High Street?
325. West Harnett.
And do we have on Parks and Rec, do we have a projected date of when the pickleball courts are gonna be completed?
The slab is poured, fences are up, waiting for it to cure a little bit, so they can get the servicing, and then that's up and then we plan on.
Okay. Good deal.
I do want to make a note, if you look through, just let me get this for the YouTube folks. One of the things that I saw at Main Street was sending out door hangers for those that are complying with rules and making the town look pretty and those sorts of things. So Mark and Rachel created these door hangers in the planning department, and they had them printed, and so he will start kind of putting those out and, you know, a thank you as well. So he's not just citing people for bad things. He's also saying, thanks for doing a good job making our town beautiful. So that was something that came from the Main Street program. I thought that was cool.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Zane with body cameras.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Since probably early January of this year, Zane and I have been working on a project to acquire body cameras for the police department. We've done, or actually Zane has done quite a bit of research into the project itself, and I'm gonna let him touch on the specifics of it. But essentially, what we're here tonight is to ask for your permission to apply for grants to help fund the cost of these units for the officers.
Over the last several months, like the chief said, we've looked into several different body cameras and their programs that they offer. The quotes that we have include 15 body cameras with their mounting options that include software docking stations and unlimited cloud storage for the videos. The three companies that we have looked into were Axon, Wolfcom, and Motorola. As you can see on the paperwork, Wolfcom was the cheapest option at $45,126, followed by Axon at $55,260, and Motorola was the most expensive at $63,603. The contracts for all three companies are 5-year contracts, and they're pretty flexible on payment. It can be paid all up front, or it can be paid yearly, equal payments over 5 years. The department, myself, the chief, the captain, our preferred option is the Axon body camera, which is the one that's being passed around right now. It's a little bit more expensive than the cheapest option. However, there's some benefits to that one for us as the department that the other ones couldn't match. Axon integrates with our evidence system as well as our tasers that we currently have, and it also integrates with the DA's office with their evidence management system. It allows us to upload our videos to them without having to have extra licenses or different programs. So it allows us to do it seamlessly without having to have a bunch of extra software. Right now, we are currently looking at 3 different grants. 2 of the 3 grants are a 50-50, so a dollar for dollar match. What we put into it is what they put into it. The third one, I believe, is a 50-50 match, but as of right now, you can't even access it. All 3 of them have actually been put on hold for a little while due to the executive orders, and they're reviewing all grants right now through the Department of Justice, so I can't give you 100% information on those 3 grants right now. That's all I have right now. If you guys have any questions or...
So under this program, they own the equipment, and we're just leasing it for 5 years, and then at the end of 5 years, then we'll look for a different provider. Is that how this works?
It could,
Right.
after 3 years, they replace.
So Axon offers what they call a tap refresh. So day 1 of the first year, we get 15 body cameras, the docking stations, everything that we need to operate them. At year 3, they replace all of the cameras and all of the docking stations. They do that just because of battery life and stuff like that. If they release a new camera within those first 3 years, so this is what they refer to as ABD4. So if they come out with ABD5 at year 2, at year 3 we get the brand new camera, brand new docking stations, and all that at no extra cost, no extra fee.
Who around have y'all checked with and see what the other people are using? Sheriff's Department?
The sheriff's department. The sheriff's department doesn't currently have body cameras, but they're looking into them as well. Dunn has them.
Dunn is currently transitioning to Motorola cameras. I don't think Harnett County has body cameras.
Harnett County doesn't. I think Clinton, they went from Motorola to I think Axon.
So you actually know some departments that are using the Axon at this time?
Yes, sir.
They seem pretty pleased with it.
As far as I know, yes.
I'm just wondering, on the 5-year lease, the 55, 260, what else, when you're leasing, what else are you going to get into, say, a year from now? The software, everything's included in this, right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't have any hidden cost that you know of?
Not that we know of, no.
They're
hidden very well.
Same way with our tasers, they're on the lease program too.
Okay.
Who would provide the training for those cameras?
Axon.
Axon as well. So, how does that thing work? Do you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's currently not on.
Some of them have been using them.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. That's a like a loaner for us to test to see if we like the camera. A lot of officers have been using it. Most of the officers really enjoy it. Currently, it's not on right now, so they can use it for night shift.
Right.
But yeah, so the center button, if you push it twice, like a quick tap, it turns on. It lights up red around the outside of the ring, so everybody knows that it's recording. When you go to shut it off, you just click it and hold it, and it shuts off. There's some other options that can be added later on if we so choose. But as of right now, how it's set up is how we'd be using it.
Obviously, if this is the route we go, there'll have to be some in-house policies created, and so they know, like, it would need to be on for everything, so. There would have to be some in-house policies that we would need to go through.
And I have a rough policy that's been completed, because we, like the paper says, we looked at it in 2015, 2016. So we drafted a policy then, but it's gonna have to be updated, as the years have passed since then. The way it's set up, anytime they're having an interaction with the public, they'll have to turn the camera on.
And I completely agree with that, because I'm gonna tell you, in the times we're living now, you really need to have yourself covered, the town needs to be covered, and the other person needs to be covered. So
Yeah.
I'm 100% in favor of that.
Yeah, it's a
really
huge
am.
benefit to us and to the public as well.
Yes, it is.
And Greg and Zane, correct me if I'm wrong, you said it's compatible with our tasers. Axon is who our tasers are with, as well,
Correct.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yeah,
I'm
Axon is
assuming
the-
there's capabilities that, for deployment and stuff like that, that it could,
That's one of the add-ons that
right.
he's talking about.
So that's another perk with going with this company as opposed to the lowest, because they could work together.
Yeah, and we've been dealing with this company for several years now, so, if it's tasers, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a relationship with them already.
So what that means, if you pull your taser out, does it come on?
If you pay for that
Set it up
extra
that way, yeah.
You said it.
accessory, yes, it would. I mean, you can get it where, like, when they turn the blue lights on in the car, it activates the camera. But that comes at a premium cost.
Every little thing is an
That's added on.
fee with all of them.
Yeah, this is just our baseline entry into body cameras right now.
Ike, if we went with any of this, would, the town need to come up with a policy to protect us? It would all come from them?
We will work together to craft one, but yes, I think in
Okay.
that policy. There's a lot more, guidance and, information and clarity as to what can be disclosed and what can't be, or what you have to do to disclose certain things than there was when we looked at this almost
Yeah.
10 years ago now. So you're in a lot more safe harbors and how to treat that, but still a good policy is for them internally to how to utilize it, and then for disclosure as well is a big part of that.
Well, I've always thought it was a good idea to have, but when you talk to different law enforcements, some of them say absolutely not. Some of them, I know we've looked at it in the past, and it was a good thing, and then it's not a good thing, and all you gotta do is turn on the TV where they didn't turn it on at the right time,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they didn't have this, and then you're in all kinds of, problems.
Yeah. But me personally, I think the benefits outweigh the drawbacks.
Oh, I would want one if I was doing your job.
Yeah.
Great.
Kim, do we need a motion or anything?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you need a motion?
Show of hands.
Do a motion?
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll,
motion.
we'll add it to the consent agenda if everybody's
Okay.
okay with it.
All right.
We'll do
Okay.
a little memo.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, Kayla, street sweeper.
Good evening, everyone. We've all seen this paper from Enterprise Fleet before in front of you. As we talked about during the board retreat and in the past, another topic of contention has been the streets, keeping them clean, and our current street sweeper. It just so happened, in talking with our rep, they were able to get us a quote for a street sweeper from Amic, who we would get the lease through Enterprise. Our current sweeper, we tried to sell it. We had a local municipality looking at it. In doing so, we had to take it and get about $5,000 in maintenance done to it to be able to show it to them because it hasn't been functioning for us in quite some time. Even with that, it still did not show its best, and they chose not to take it. Kim's reaching out to the county. We're trying to get it on the county sale. We currently don't have a functioning street sweeper. It hasn't been on the top of the priority list. Clearly, we've had other things in line, but as I said, this one kind of, once again, just hopped into our laps. They were able to get a price on it for us. So since we were able to get it, we wanted to present it and see what the board's thoughts were on leasing a new street sweeper. Like I mentioned, in the past month, just trying to get our current one to run, we've spent $5,000 and it still isn't operable. The unit was purchased in 2010 for $155,000. Between 2019 and 2023, we paid $44,000 on major repairs. Like I said, for the majority of 2024, and since I've been here, it hasn't been functioning. We can sometimes limp it along and run it. We've been getting by, but when it comes to our MS4 permit, which you're going to hear from Beth in just a moment, part of those best practices we submitted with the state were that we would, at a minimum, do monthly street sweeping and log those. We would clean the catch basins. Yes, the jet vac, it cleans catch basins, but that's for, it's storming, it's an emergency. That's not the normal just running the streeper down the suite, keeping it clean. We use it for mule days and all the parades and all the events in town, and especially with the push from downtown and what we're looking at, keeping Benson beautiful, the street sweeper really does a lot of that work. So we just wanted to bring it to you all, get your thoughts, see if it's something that you would be willing for us to take out on a lease right now. We are open for questions. I also have Public Works here, multiple divisions, if you have questions.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
Did I understand this right? You spent $5,000 trying to sell it to someone else. Is that what you were saying to me?
We tried to sell it for $5,000.
No.
$5,000. I thought she said.
No,
$5,000.
no,
That's
she's right.
crazy.
Oh, wait,
She's
what?
right, yeah.
Oh.
No.
You had to-
You're right, Miss Maxine.
Thank you. I thought I heard right.
Well, we had to fix it, yes, so, yeah.
We had to fix it. They still didn't want to buy it, and it still does not reliably work. And again, the push to do that work was to get it sold.
How much does a used street sweeper that's not reliable sell for?
We were trying like 10 grand.
So we spent $5,000 to try to get 10 grand, and
Well, we gotta, we gotta have it working if we're gonna still use it, you know? But what happened to it? I forget.
The summary is it's falling apart, is the best way to summarize.
How old is it?
It's a 2009.
But we bought it used. I mean, when it came here, it was used, so, right, Ray? Yeah.
It was a demo model.
Yeah.
And a new this street sweeper we're leasing is $226,000, is that right?
They're not. I mean, we've spent way more than just $5,000 on it though in the last
Yeah.
5 years.
45,000 from 2019, 44 and a half from 2019 to 2023. And we don't really have any maintenance or repair costs for 2024 because, like I said, it was kind of lost hope at that point.
Remember, we stopped sweeping for a little while.
is there anything budgeted for street sweeping in our budget for this year?
Is there a specific line item for a street sweeper? No. Is there capital equipment money still available in the budget? Yes.
Enough to cover this?
Yes, sir.
We pulled $180,000 last month for the water jet.
Jet vac.
How much is the street sweeper used the same way that the jet system was?
So this
Because
is-
I know there's some things on that street sweeper that would do some of the same things.
Yes and no. So can they use both to clean out the catch basins? Yes. But like I briefly mentioned earlier, the jet vac is for more of the, it's pouring 4 inches of rain, one is backed up right now, we need to suction it, we need to get down in it. Whereas the street sweeper does its regular maintenance of riding the street, cleaning those out, not in the middle of a huge storm that's backed up. So they do the same thing, but not quite the same way. And the street sweeper is much more, and it's not even just downtown. They run the whole town in quadrants. And with this new machine, how quickly could you get the town done? Could you do it?
We could do Main Street, which is downtown, parish, church, and then we could go in and do 2 songs a day. And that's
With the piece of equipment that we approved last.
No, that's with this sweeper.
Street sweeper?
The jet vac is used daily on projects and work, and if there's a line cut, and if there's an active backup somewhere that a box needs to be cleaned, if an active sewer line is backed up, yes, it's still cleaning those things, but it's not in the regular maintenance realm. It's more in the emergent, do-it-now realm.
If you use the sweeper truck during a storm, like we would the back truck, all you're gonna do is fill up you're gonna just sweep, all you're gonna do is suck up the water that's in the road.
Right.
It's 2 different applications.
I'm just looking at something, it was a new street sweeper back in 2010. It was a demo, but it was demoed to just towns. It came in as a new sweeper. There were so many things that was done with that. The dirt that the sweeper picks up, it eats the inside of the pans completely up. And some of the things we were doing with it, I'm just trying to find out, a new one coming in, are we gonna not use it the very same way, or is it gonna have to be used the very same way, even though we got this other piece of equipment coming?
Absolutely not. That truck will not leave on a storm run.
Right. But it has been in the past. Oh, don't know.
I can bring it.
I've got the whole crowd here. I got them all for your answers.
I was here when that one was purchased.
Yeah.
And it was presented as also being able to be a hydro excavator, which is what we bought last month. It's a hydro excavator. So we used that sweeper because we were told it could be used in that application for a hydro excavator. We were sucking out holes and water leaks and trenches, and the rock just tore it all to pieces. And that's part of why it's in the shape it's in.
And that's what I'm asking. With both pieces, are we going to eat up this one like we have?
No, sir. They will be used appropriately.
The hydro excavator that we purchased is just for that it's for other applications, but it specializes in what we used that street sweeper before to do that really wasn't to do that, in my opinion. The salesman told us it could be used for that. We used it, but this hydro excavator that we just bought will do the job. The street sweeper would not be used for that.
Think of the sweeper as preventative maintenance and the jet vac as
Emergency repairs.
and repairs. Yes.
Check my numbers. So if I read this right, then the monthly payment on this for 72-month lease is $4,199.82. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a total of $302,000 over 6 years to lease a piece of equipment. And the equipment cost is $226,000? I mean, what if we were to buy it and then it lasts another 10 years or 15 years and we bought that instead of doing a 72-month lease and being locked into a $4,000 payment and then have nothing at the end?
We can definitely look into that. But again, I'm going to defer to her on enterprise. Because it's a lease, if there was an issue with the equipment, that would go back to.
We could flip it sooner, like if we start seeing that it's getting wear and tear on it. The point of the lease is you flip it over. It's a little different than our normal, the mill vehicles,
know? I
Right.
mean, it's a different, probably a different concept. But you can flip it over before that 5 years is up, if you wanted to.
Read those numbers again, because I'm not like you on that. Read them.
But, I mean, yeah, it would.
Yeah, the monthly rental is $4,199.82.
And it's 72 months, that's a total of $302,387.04.
And the sweeper is? What?
226, 232.
Good Lord, that is a difference.
So that's a $76,155 charge in interest over 6 years. Because they're not gonna do the maintenance. Are they doing the maintenance and all of the repair work and stuff on that? No, the only thing we're doing is getting to use it.
No.
I'm not like you on that. If you don't get one, I think I might as well go and buy.
Well, hold on.
Am I-
Because, so she has to run these differently because like Kim said, it's not just a vehicle. Give me the number you said the difference was, 75.6?
76,15504.
So, right. Yeah, I see where she got the numbers as to your question. I'll have to get with Chrissy.
How long does the street whip, if you use this, I'm asking.
As it should be used.
If you use it as it should be used and you don't suck up boulders and tear up pans, how long does the street sweeper last?
I think it's at the end of its useful life now.
No,
the new one. How much
If
will
I were to
the
buy a
one?
new one,
Hold on.
About that is a demo unit, but it has a stainless steel body on it, which is different than what we have now. It's also a lot smaller machine. The one we have now, comparable, is a $380,000 machine by it. It's a CDL machine. The one we got that we're looking at is non-CDL, so that also takes out requirements. But it's a stainless steel body frame, hopper, turbine, everything.
we don't lease,
They have a lifetime warranty on the actual body on that machine from Amic Equipment Co.
I mean, we buy fire trucks, we don't lease fire trucks, and they last 10 to 15, 20 years. So I'm just wondering with this, if we pay $206,000 and finance it with interest, and then it be ours at the end of 6 years, will we still have 5 to 10 years of life out of that?
We will, if we run it, if we use it for
If you use it properly.
if we use it like it's supposed to be.
Well, if I think if we pay that much money for it, you need to get the guide, the book that tells you how to use it and use it.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
way.
Agreed.
Can you bring us something to, because you're not asking, for can you
Yeah,
bring
if
us?
you want a buyout quote,
Can we
I'd
get a
look at it.
buyout quote
Mhm.
versus what the lease is? I just,
of course.
pickup, I could see leasing for 6 years, but this is an expensive lease.
I am fine with that option. I just know we've looked at these in the past and leased equipment in the past, so that's why I had her quote this, but I will gladly get a purchase price quote from Amic.
Let me make a note of what Andrew mentioned. We are trying to buy smaller equipment, so you don't have to have a CDL run them.
That's expensive.
Well, it's expensive to get CDL now.
That's what I meant.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the guys don't want to have them if they don't have to at this point,
But even
realistically.
with that before, our problem was any and everybody was using the machine, and now they quit that and they trade. I know the last one we got, and we even tried leasing from a company in Irwin or Lillington, and they came down and they did a sorry job. So we did not. We had them coming in once a week or once every 2 weeks to do that. I would never go with another company to do our work. But they did find out what their problem was, and when we got that new one, they had certain people, and not any and everybody could jump on that and use it. Correct? And that's what's gonna happen this time. Well, whatever we go, you've got trained people to use this machine.
That's right. So we bought that knuckle book from Amic. Equipment, at least at the enterprise, but Amic come down, stayed with us a whole day, teaching everybody how to properly run that machine in town, do what it's supposed to do. And they offer the same, if we need 3 days of training, Amic's come down, they'll spend 3 days with us, teaching each person, how to properly operate that machine.
But your department wouldn't have to hire a new person to do nothing but this.
No.
It's hard to hire people now with a CDL, and when you put that in and you try to send somebody to school, that's just, that's a lot of money to invest in somebody. Yeah, they could just walk out the door once they get it, I mean. They get the CDL and then they leave.
Right.
Right.
And people will do that, and so this machine. So actually, instead of dumping it in the yard waste at the facility we have, this one will actually dump inside the dumpster. So we don't have to worry about hauling that to the landfill no more. It's dumped in the dumpster out of the machine, and when they pick our dumpsters up, they haul it with them.
Which fixes another issue that we have.
Yeah.
We really shouldn't be dumping that in the yard waste.
So what
And-
we need to do is decide whether or not we're gonna buy or lease.
Right, because I thought we were gonna get lucky. Andrew has already gotten me a quote from Amic, which started this process, but it was valid until March 1st. So unfortunately, we'll have to get a new one. But Amic is the one that provided us these figures to begin with, so we can get another one.
Well, can we
It was
get-
this, it was the 226, 232.
So it's the same. but-
I just checked, the 226, if you have a lease, it's 226, and you pay 302, the interest rate's 10.07. 72 months, 10.07.
Right.
I think this is something that's gonna be a continuous need. If it's cheaper to purchase in the long run, I'd rather purchase and then
Okay.
just have something at the end. That's my thoughts.
Well, I agree with you.
Okay, perfect. We will, yeah.
How's the availability on, say we decide to do it?
So the one that we're looking at, he told us as soon as he got the paperwork, he could have to do it in 30 days. There's not really a hold up on those machines. They used to have dual steer. You know, the one we've got dual steer. You drive from the passenger over the driver's side. But they're doing away with those because of a DOT safety issue. So the one that we've looked at is just a regular operated from the driver's side. And he said those are readily available sitting on the lot. So, they actually just sold one to, it's on 5 Clayton, or Raleigh, Dedmon, somewhere up there. And that's the one they brought to us before they sent it to them, kind of check it out because they talked to them.
So because of the relationship Andrew has with them, I know he can get us a quote back. If I can get a quote with that price for this unit, would you be interested in having us add that to the consent agenda for approval?
Yeah.
There we go.
With a decent interest rate.
1%?
Do you, well, hold on, do you want us to buy it outright, or do you want us to go to a bank and see what we can do in a loan situation? Because you just mentioned interest rates, so that made me.
Well,
Which one?
how much is available in our capital fund?
Let me look at it.
I mean,
What- Could you add that,
We
can you bring it
we
back?
can send out a quote.
I would say let's do both.
Right, and we'll send you guys an email.
Okay.
I don't want to bankrupt our capital.
Right. Let me look at it. But as we saw in financials, Fund 30 is still currently in a positive variance, so, looking positive.
Mhm.
Working in the clouds.
That's right.
Right now, this morning.
All right, good deal. Are y'all ready? Next on the agenda, installation of emissions supervisory control and data acquisition monitoring and alert system for the wastewater treatment plant.
I am going to bring up Junior because, again, as you've seen, we have the subject matter experts here. So this, just a brief, this mission system is something that we have at pump stations, that we have at other locations in the town. The wastewater treatment plant does not currently have it, and there's a definite need. So I'm going to let Junior go into the specifics and explain all of that to you.
So we don't have a call-out system at the plant. For the month of March, it was a wet season. We had 9.25 inches of rain, and we had nothing to call us out to tell us what the plant was doing. So, just like yesterday, it rained pretty good. I came in to check the plant because there's nothing to call me out to tell me what the flow's coming in, what the flow's going out, or even if there's a screw pump that went out. There's nothing. The only thing that it calls out for is a power failure. And that, matter of fact, that contract's going to end, I think, the end of this year. But it's useless. This mission system, I think what I quoted was 7 alarms throughout the plant. Filter lift pumps, the water coming in, the influent, effluent, the clarity of the water. Just like during, was it March 26th, that's when we had majority of our rain. It fell 4.1 inches of rain, and my BOD spiked up to 28, which will put us in non-compliance for the month of March. But we had nothing to call us out to tell us something was wrong.
How do you, isn't that what we got fined for a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago?
No, I think y'all was a lagoon.
But again,
That was from the rain.
with the spill, this again goes to that. So when Junior says he checked last night because of the rain, he means he got out of bed and came in at 9 o'clock last night. Not only that, but Noah Murray, one of our treatment operators, got out of bed and drove from his house to the plant at 11 p.m. last night because he knew, seeing as much rain as he got, they needed to check on the plant and make sure it was functioning. This system allows them to pull up their phone and say, okay, this is functioning, this is working. And if something goes wrong, even without them looking, it alarms and tells them, right? Like in today's technology, in today's world, they shouldn't have to drive from, I mean, is Noah still living some ways away, right?
Yeah.
Right. So in the middle of the night, because he cares enough about our plant to have it function, right?
That's right.
This is a need. And just like when there was the spill, this is our warning system. We currently don't have a warning system.
We did this last year for water, so this is basically the second phase.
Yeah.
So we're getting call-outs, Ray gets call-outs on the tower and the booster pump station and all those things.
And lift station. This is the
And
same
the lift
system as at the
stations.
lift stations,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
But
This is for the
It's
plant.
never been done at the plant.
technically, want to get really technical, we're probably in non-compliance right now as we speak at the plant because there's nothing as a SCADA system there other than we probably can argue the fact that we do have a little bit because of the power failure, but there's nothing out there.
But you said the contractor with the thing that you don't like right now, that's fixing to expire.
Right, that's the power
Yeah.
So if I read-
notification.
And the new one is going to have a power failure alarm on it too. I think it's 7 alarms, that the main ones that I wanted, and we can move from there.
So this is a setup fee for all this, and if I read this right, this is about $3,000 every year to continue for the software and everything. So it's the $33,000 the first year, and then about $3,000 every year after that, if I read that right.
Right.
And
$3,000 a year to make sure we don't get NOVs.
I take notes every morning when I come in. Like February 16th, we have 2 screw pumps running in all the time. The reason I don't have the flow for 2 screw pumps, but I have to run 2 just in case one fails. Like February 16th, a screw pump 2 tripped out. Could be a power blip, anything that could trip it out. But if I said I want to just run 1 because we don't have the demand flow to run 2, if I was running 1 that day, I would have backed up the whole collection system and had a spill on Ray's side of the town. So
Then it would be Ray's fault, not yours.
We don't want to make Ray mad.
We're not going to get into pointing fingers.
So I mean,
Mike, you're not keeping up with any of this.
but it's our last defense. I mean, our next defense is you have to have someone there 24/7, keep checking it.
Just curiosity, what's that other contract costing us that's going away?
What
Who was it?
We just paid it.
It's custom control.
Okay.
Is it close to the same thing annually?
You said postal?
Custom.
Custom.
Oh,
I don't think it's quite that much. I
One
think
would hope because it's only the one notification.
Yeah, and tell you the truth, I ain't even looked into it. It just
What's that?
I thought we did. There we go.
I think we paid for the radio license, right?
are you looking at 3260? Is it custom controls unlimited? Yeah, I
Yes.
don't have anything on that.
The last thing we paid was $480. So that sounds about right for 1/7 of the notification,
Yeah.
and all it does is just say, hey, your power went out.
Yeah, that just means that it's going to be $2,500 a year for this system.
Right.
When
But
that goes away.
this system not only prevents
Right.
more call-outs, the maintenance on the pumps, the guys coming in, it's definitely a savings in the long
It's also
run.
a safety If it calls out, it'll let the on-call phone know, and it'll let also me know. Then I'll know that I have an operator on site. If I don't hear from him in the next couple hours,
Right.
I know where he's at.
You got money in the budget for,
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think it's something that we're gonna have to do, because it's cheaper than being fined.
That's
How
right.
much was that fine?
it's 5,000.
You know, that's a whole lot cheaper than doing
That's-
that, yes, it is.
That math, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure, but the next thing is, I just, can you not foresee these things happening before it becomes a major problem? I mean,
Like
that's
what?
the-
Like which ones?
That's what he's doing. That's what this.
Junior just came into the plant, remember, and he's just getting caught up fixing all of
I'm
these
not-
pre-existing
whoever-
issues.
Whoever it was.
Right.
I'm
The
just saying.
lagoon part, yeah, that could have been fixed a long time ago, but I was just an operator then, you had other people above me, yeah.
Oh, well,
Knowing what I know now, it was very.
Yes,
very-
ma'am. To your question, we are cognizant of things that could have been avoided in the past, and we are working to not have them repeat themselves in the future.
Absolutely.
And I think that's gonna be very important in the future.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
funds are not coming in.
Right.
When did they say our
Right.
our dump station was gonna be ready?
That's a J question.
Hey,
What?
When's the receiving station date?
The what?
The receiving station.
What about?
when's it?
Estimated completion date.
Or
We're bidding it. It's out for bid right now. You're probably looking at 8 months completion.
That'll bring in enough income to cover this.
oh yeah.
And Junior's already got,
And the new plant that's coming, that we're gonna build, will have all this already integrated.
Right.
So my old system will talk to the new system, and it just,
everything will play nice.
yeah.
It's gonna come in a consent.
Yes, if everybody's good, we will add it to the consent agenda for approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the review of Chapter 97, illicit discharge and stormwater management by Ike and Kim and Beth.
And I'm actually going to give it to Beth and Ray.
You want to? No.
Good evening. I'm normally speaking to you as your water distribution operator, but tonight I want to shift gears a little bit and talk to you as your utility compliance supervisor. And in that role, my responsibility is to comb through our permit requirements for water, sewer, and stormwater. And I've devised a checklist for all three, and we go through it, we make sure that we're in compliance. So tonight, we need your help with compliance with a stormwater matter, with our MS4 permit. And before I go further, I'll introduce Beth. She's the town's stormwater consultant. She's been helping us for several years now. And when I get to the end of my presentation, if you have any questions about what we're asking, Beth is the expert. She'll be able to answer them for you. I'm here as compliance. This is what we need to be in compliant with our permit requirements. So I will move on with that.
It's all the red lines.
It's all the red lines.
So as part of our stormwater permit requirements, we have to provide an IDD ordinance or other regulatory mechanism that provides legal authority to prohibit, detect, and eliminate illicit connections and discharges into our MS4 system. Another requirement is to provide an ordinance or other regulatory mechanism to require erosion and sediment controls. And there's a third part to the ordinance, legal authority. The permittee shall maintain adequate legal authorities through ordinance or other regulatory mechanism for post-construction site runoff control. So those are three topics that we're trying to get a hold of with in amending our Chapter 97 ordinance to add stormwater. So again, as your permit requirement supervisor, I'm asking that you amend Chapter 97 of the town's Code of Ordinances to include the IDDE and stormwater management ordinance drafts. But again, First, you may have questions about that, and I've got Beth here to answer them if you do.
I'm surprised these weren't already there, to be honest with you.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're doing that now.
Right.
As the UDO is being rewritten, these will be incorporated into it. So the illicit discharge detection and elimination ordinance is in a final form. It's straightforward. That's real easy and straightforward. The post-construction stormwater piece, the second piece that's erosion and stormwater, that may change a little bit as we get the UDO written. But what we needed is to have a regulatory mechanism to require that new development get the erosion sediment control plan approval. That'll be through the state. Now it's relied on the state instead of the county. And the second piece is to get the stormwater management plan approval, and that is through the memorandum of agreement that the town has with the county. So we didn't have that regulatory mechanism in place, nor did we have the enforcement for that. So that's what this is getting in place. So we'll be fully in compliant with the MS4 permit when we are audited again. Not if, it's always when.
That's right.
Riveting stuff. Not as cool
So
as
you
street
just-
sweepers.
Y'all just need a motion to amend this.
We'll put it in
Yes, ma'am.
consent,
We'll go to
but if you
consent.
have any questions, like, we trained staff last year in a health and safety meeting on what's illicit discharge and who to call if you see it. And, so we've been practicing it for a little while now, getting everybody kind of up to speed with it. But if you had a question as to what it is, that's why we brought Beth in and to explain more about that part of it.
An illicit discharge is just anything other than regular rainwater going down into a drain that goes to a stream. Okay, so it's similar to your water utilities or wastewater utility, but it's stormwater. So, and in stormwater, you want everything clean going into the drain and into streams. So no chemical discharges, nobody dumping, used oil in a drain that goes to a stream. So this gives the town the ability to stop those things.
And those are all defined in the ordinance.
All that's defined.
Are you good?
I'm good.
All right.
All right. Thank y'all.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, replacement of trees at Grove Park, Grove Playground, map.
Hey, howdy. As y'all remember, when we put the playground in, we took out a bunch of trees in the grove that were what I would consider dangerous in the center of our playground in our area. We've been asked multiple times on replacement of those trees. We've met with Mr. Landis Hall a couple times, and he has put together a small design for us, which is not on the screen right now, but probably will be sometime soon.
We got it.
You got it? Awesome.
Oh, I don't think, was there?
I wouldn't just come to plant a few trees, but this is the Grove, and it's, what I consider pretty holy ground, so I want to kind of get approval to go ahead with some of these plantings. He suggested oak, maple, or elm trees in different heights to go around the parish side and on either side of the playground. It'll really tie the whole area together, the whole playground together, and it'll kind of finish off this entire project. I'm a symmetrical person by nature. If I do it, I would like to see like a maple, elm, and an oak in the middle, or something like that to have that design. I don't know if you had a preference on what you would like to see out there or not. He will, again, I didn't cover this, but he'll sell us these trees and deliver them for the price that's on the top of your sheet, and he'll also help us put them in. He'll direct us on where to put them exactly and how to have them put in there.
Well, let me understand this. So
Yep.
we took up the trees in the beginning.
Yep.
Why?
Well, they were in the center of the playground. They were pine trees. Pine trees are notoriously weak, and limbs fall out of trees, and the last thing I want is a limb to fall on a 4-year-old or my granddaughter when she's out playing on the playground. They were dangerous. I mean, they would, not, more than one time I went out and there was limbs laying in the playground and all around the grove.
And there was some pine roots that were pushing up
Yes.
the, not the swing set, but the thing over to the other side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they had to come up.
They were, I mean, I'm actually kind of amazed nobody got hurt up into the, to that point.
Okay, so these trees are supposed to be,
They're gonna be outside of the playground area along the perimeter. And they're not a evergreen, they're a deciduous tree, so they're harder, the oak, maple, elm, so they're not gonna break as easily, or the limbs aren't gonna come out as easily, and it's gonna provide shade throughout the day, instead of just like having that one open spot. And it'll kind of, I don't wanna say close off, but it'll kind of make it look like well, I guess an enclosed area.
Is the fence on this diagram already there?
The fence is already there, but they'll go inside the fence, right there, and we don't have to take the fence down. The playground borders are removable, and if we need to get the mini-X in there, our guys are gonna plant them. If we need to get the mini-X in there, we can pull those borders up easily, and they can plant them. And they're not, if you looked at it, the root balls are not that big. They go from 15 to 30 gallons, and that's not a huge root ball. And the entire, if we went with the most expensive tree out there for all 7 trees, the total would only be $1,260. That's if we went with the most expensive, and they range from $85 to $180 per tree.
Well, if I read it right, Landis was gonna give us the trees that he has cost, and then
Yes,
donate his
that is
time,
correct.
right? So
He's gonna give it his-
even have them delivered at his
That's-
cost.
that's
He
what I
said,
mean.
wouldn't make a penny, and if you wanted to check anybody else, he said, check, but you 3-4 times the cost of what he's getting for.
And he's gonna be out there to help us. He's not gonna be actually planting, but he's gonna let us, kind of guide us in our planting. And I mean, let's be honest, he's forgotten more about this stuff than I'll ever know, than any of us will ever know.
well, I think it's a good idea, because I always thought it took away from the park, the looks of the park, when those trees were taken down. I understand why they needed to come down, but I think I think that will give
Okay.
some
That's great.
respect back to the park.
Thank you. I think aesthetically, I think it's gonna be gorgeous. So I don't know if I need to have like a vote on that, or if you just wanna say go, or how does it go? Total cost on the outside would be $1,260 if we go with $1,260, if we go with the most expensive tree for all 7 trees.
Now, our own crews will be installing them.
Yes.
It says no.
I guess.
Installed, that's our
What?
guys.
I said, I guess, yeah.
They will. Man,
we can
I
get-
have a shovel and I know how to use it. I'll do it if I have to.
The guys left, so they're not here to debate that topic.
See, they're not here. They
You
do
made
it by
mad about
proxy.
the street sweep.
We'll put it in consent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mingo Interceptor update, Jay.
I was told I had to bring him to come up and do a presentation on the Mingo Interceptor project. And what I do is I'm gonna pass these out, and I printed off a bunch of, these will not be in your package. I did not get this straight information until late last week. Give you a quick overview of where we are on this project. There's one very point we want to try to get across on this. All right. We got one for each of you, it looks like.
Thank you.
We're nearing the end of the design phase of this project here. We have the King Circles pump station and the Chicopee pump stations. These two will be eliminated in our new design, and gravity lines will run out of where the King Circle pump station and the Chicopee pump station will gravity feed all the way down south and cross I-95 into a new pump station on Luby Woods property on the very south end of it. He's given us easement to go ahead to, and the ability to go ahead and put the new pump station on his property. And then eventually it runs up on the force main all the way up to the South Walton Avenue pump station, which is just south of the new hotel complex. I actually have been in contact with, I usually email Ike once a week and ask him about easement, how he's coming along and obtaining the easements for this project. We're going to try to wrap these up before the end of April. One thing, we had a meeting with the hotel owners on Leith Properties 2 weeks ago, and they were kind of hesitant about giving us access to this pump station itself. But we do know that they told us that they own the property just to the south of it's an open field right now, but they own the property just to the south of the new hotel parking lot. And they're willing to give us an easement that runs in right parallel against the line of the parking lot itself. And with the understanding that Water Place Landing Road, they want us to take over.
So they're gonna be submitting an application for us to take it.
Which the board will consider.
Which the
Right.
board has to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
That means that we would be our road.
But we have an application for that, requires them to go through a pretty detailed process, but the main crux of it is with a road that it has to be constructed to DOT standards, has to be inspections, they have to give us a bond, a year warranty and all that.
But currently it's a private road owned by the hotel, so
But
it would be a town road.
If they meet those specs and we were to take it, this would be an even swap for that easement then, right?
It would be a quid pro quo.
Okay. That's fine, all right.
Yes.
I understand. All right.
But we just
The
wanted
Blue
to bring.
Squiggly, we're not going down Cub Road anymore, we're not gonna try to go down 242 at all?
No, no, that has us going, we're going to parallel up north, the northbound lane of I-95. And all those, all the new lines are actually in the DOT easement.
How will that affect our future economic development abilities on 242 South if we don't have that?
Well, you couldn't get the pump station on the original plan,
All right,
so we had to push it back. So you're still gonna open up that side because you will have sewer over there, and we're attempting to get water over there.
There will be
Right.
water from South Walton, near where the South Walton Avenue pump station, all the way down. There's going to be a water line running with the force main line.
So it's still a very positive.
we're crossing the
And once
bridge, we're just not getting much further than crossing the bridge right
You
now.
gotta cross the bridge,
Yeah.
so we can say we've got it open.
Small winds, right? We'll
That's
take- we'll
right.
take the
And
small
and
winds.
again, with Water Place Landing, we know that that's curves, right? And to your accord, Cub Road,
Right.
that side, eventually, in the future, we hope that extends down, so.
Well, we did
Looking
when
towards-
Mr. Wood gave us the easement for putting the pump station on his property. We gave him the ability to tie a sewer line into that pump station. So there would be an additional inlet, I should say, into that pump station itself for anybody, if he decides to sell the property and develop it out, it'll be available to him.
How much of the property does the hotel own back toward, the Cub Road that comes off the bridge that stops?
So, the
Well, we
Levensons
have
own,
It stops.
Well,
How
you
far down
can't
does
drive,
Lake go?
you can't drive from the new bridge down the new road to the hotel.
There's an owner in between there that owns those apartments.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but they did,
But the owner of that is not the hotel, and it's not the owner of the property that the road went across.
they did buy some more of that land to the south, though.
They did,
So
yeah,
Yes.
they did.
Did the hotel group from the Dutch Villa / Levinson's,
Yes.
who own that tract now, or did own that tract, still own the tract to the south.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can get to Cub Road. We were just out there standing around the other day. I don't know if they can get to Cub Road or that extension you're talking about, that access road. Is that
Yeah,
my question?
uh-huh.
I don't know if we'll be able to get down there to it.
What'd you say, Al?
Yeah.
Right, in Cub Road. But I think that again goes to with the expansion across the bridge. I think all involved parties are assuming that Cub Road might not end where it ends forever, right? And with Water Place Landing coming in, you know, we can't give a timeline, but I think everyone's assuming eventually Cub Road will come up more and Water Place Landing will go down.
But will it ever tie into Water Place?
We don't know.
We don't know for certain,
If it
but
ties into Water Place, we still assume that if we get the easement.
would we assume the Cub Road portion?
We would assume.
Or just the Water Place Landing portion?
We would just take
I'm
on.
talking about what we're dealing with as far as the easement. Okay, we take over Water Place, the
Right.
road.
Mhm.
Okay, if it ever ties in, do we ever take over the
It
whole?
would have to go back to this board.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have a process now, and, well, the law in general would, is that there has to be a dedication and an acceptance. That's always been the law, as long as any of us have been alive and longer. Whether or not there was, I would deem it like an adequate, set of records that was kept on some rights of way. You know, once you get back 40 years, 50 years or more, sometimes the records are kind of spotty, but if you're maintaining it, then you know there was at some point some kind of dedication. But now, and definitely say in the last 10 years, there's not been a road that you took over that there wasn't an application. We actually have a whole form and a packet now that they have to submit all sorts of ancillary documentation, bore reports and inspections and warranty and all that kind of stuff. You've approved that actually, but I can send it out to you just so you know what they're
I was
looking
just
at.
wondering, 2 years from now, say it was thing, oh, this board set up there, y'all approved it 2 years ago, and now y'all got the curb and gutter, the road.
Yeah, no.
I just want
And-
to make sure, I just want
right.
to make sure.
There's an
And part of it
intervening-
is the as-built survey with the map that shows specifically what we are taking,
I
so.
don't care if it's 5 feet or 500 yards or a whole set of streets in a new subdivision. If they want to give it to this town to maintain, then they've got to go through that process. This board will consider that and then vote to accept it, and there'll be actually a deed of dedication of those rights of way, easements, utility lines, whatever it is they're intending to give us.
Okay.
Timeline?
Huh?
Well,
How
we're
many-
on
how
a
many
very
years?
tight timeline now,
We have to have easements by the end of the month.
so we can put it out for bid and then we can start construction. So we have to be done with this project by October of 27. We're
Okay.
moving quick.
All right. Sounds good.
Anything else? Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Utility refund for 2646 NC Highway 242 North. Kim.
You good?
I'm good.
Oh, I'm good. Oh, yeah.
You want to go into that? All right.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's all right, go on.
Let's keep talking about the Mingo Interceptor the other day. Please.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Mingo Interceptor?
No, I don't want
Okay.
to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna-
Okay, okay.
I've heard all I need to hear.
Okay. Sorry.
Utility refund for 2646 NC 242 North.
Only reason I'm bringing this to y'all is because it's the request. So we have a customer who they bought a house off of Highway 242, and apparently have been paying for a base fee meter in front of their house that was attached to the other house for some time now. And it was realized when the outside fee schedule changed. And so we've kind of been going back and forth. I offered to refund 2 years, which is general statute, what they say we can do, which was $418. I can only go back in the system to 2016, but she's requesting that we give her as much as I possibly can, which is to 2016. So I'm bringing it to the board to see what your thoughts are. I know this is kind of like not a similar, but kind of a similar to what we did with Praise. But it's $1,351.98. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not gonna affect our budget any, but it's past my approval limit of the general statute. So I bring it to the board to see if y'all would be amenable to refunding her, her base fees for her meter since 2016.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'll put it in a memo and put it in consent.
It's fixed now, though, right? Billing?
Oh, yeah. It's fixed. Okay, cool. So
Ken,
that,
how many more of these could we have?
Lord, I hope that's it.
But we could have more.
I mean, could we possibly? I mean,
how
the
do we
system's
get
not
it?
perfect. We would have to do a full-fledged audit of the utility billing system, which we're going to switch over pretty soon. So hopefully Crystal's going in and cleaning up some things. We can have electricities come and do one, but they'll only do the electric meters.
But in this situation, if she was being charged a base fee for a meter, there is a meter there.
Yeah.
We were charging her a base fee. So as far as our audit goes, we were charging a base fee for a meter. Before she bought this parcel, we don't, that predates this records we have. Apparently that meter was added to that address in the account. At some point, that house no longer paid for that meter, but that communication never made it to town, right? So we didn't know that that meter wasn't hers. She didn't look and notice that it was on her bill for that extended period of time until her bill went up and she looked at it to see.
Why do I have 2 base fees?
Right.
So
In those situations, I don't think an audit would really catch that because
So she
there was a
bought it
meter,
in
there was a fee.
2016?
No. She bought it before that, but we did a conversion in 2015, so I don't have anything in the system because I don't have anything in there past that date, so. To know what to refund. I don't have access to the legacy system anymore.
Who's been using the meter?
There's no usage on it.
So we're pulling the meter?
We can.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'd say if we want to take it back, I'd say pull the meter. That way, if they ever needed a meter again, then we could get at least some meter fees for putting out.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So you've been charging a meter that nobody was using?
Yeah, I think it was probably originally set up as an irrigation meter.
Trash can. What were you going to say, Ray?
Well, the lead service line inventory requires that we have a meter. That's how I identify water service. So removing the meter
But so that's where we're talking about when people, this one-off situation has happened a lot lately with people wanting to terminate services.
Yeah.
In town normally we say, no, you have to pay your base fee because we have to know about the situation. There was the incident on 27 going out of town where there used to be
A house.
but clearly now it's just trees and some wood. That landowner reached out and said, hey, I want to do away with my meter and my tap. And we're like, you're right, there's not a house there anymore. That warrants us cutting the line and closing it off. Any situation like this that warrants us removing a meter, we are not simply removing the meter, leaving the yoke, leaving it open so that someone could access the system. Because also, like Ray said, we need to monitor that for maintenance. So in those situations, we are going in and we are removing the yoke, we are removing the tap, we are putting a stop in the line. So that, A, yes, lets us take it out. B, ensures that Ray has the proper notes and maintenance on his side and that no one can access the system. Does that work for you? Is that good? Yeah.
And then if anybody ever wanted to put that meter
They
back,
have to
would
pay all new
the
system
tap
development
fee
fees, tapping fees, all of it.
and-
Yes.
That- We need to do that if we're reimbursed.
Kim, Board Retreat takeaways.
So I did send in the board packet, these were the notes that we got from Mr. Durham. And the highlighted notes were what y'all had your stickers on that was on the board. So I basically kind of took those and I just really, as you know, we're having lots of conversations about budget. So I wanted to make sure we're following what y'all's priorities are coming out of that board retreat. So public personnel, salaries, retention. We talked about strategic study, completion of the UDO, updating ordinances, Economic development is still big, and infrastructure. Is that seemingly what y'all took out of that? Do I need to adjust anything? Is that your takeaway as well?
Seems to be.
Okay, well then that's what I needed to know.
Will this be shared with the staff? Will this be shared with the staff?
We will, yeah, we will. We can actually do a new council priority listing if y'all want us to, because that one's a little outdated. So we can do a new sign. I can get Tyler to get it made and we can get it hung up. But really for us, that's what we need to know going into this upcoming budget, so. I sent, it's in your packet. I can, I feel.
Was it that one or the PowerPoint?
So the PowerPoint, were you able to get into it? So he actually left the drive, and we can't get into it. So I'm not sure what happened, but we'll get in touch with Mr. Durham. Can you email him tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah, and we can't get in. Yeah, we can't get into it, but she'll email him tomorrow and see if we can't get it from him. I'm worried he won't have it, but was there anything else?
Any other business? Anybody else want to talk?
I do want to remind everybody about the Sip and See on Friday. I know Paul touched on it, Miss Tina Bailey. It is, it's for domestic violence. That's what she's raising the money for. And there is going to be a concert in the Grove after the Sip and See. So just know that that's going on this weekend as well as Farm Heritage. It'll be busy downtown, which will be great. So. Yep.
If nothing else, anybody want to give my favorite motion?
I'll make the motion.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.